Fuufu Ijou episode 8, or More Than a Married Couple But Not Lovers episode 8. And this is definitely the most weird episode, I would say, out of all the ones we have seen until this point. I say weird, but I don't know if it is the right word to use. It is, I don't know, strange, kind of whack, because the amount of things that happen in this episode are all over the place. And of course, as I always say, not because an episode is different than the other ones means that it's a bad episode or anything like that, because as always, this is not the case. It was still a great episode, but yeah, it still felt kind of strange, kind of different than the other ones, because I mean, the way the episode started with the interaction between Akari and Jirou was kind of different than the other interactions we had had until this point. I mean, of course, in past episodes they have interacted with each other. We've seen that a lot, but not to this extent that we saw in this episode, because the interaction between them two lasted a couple of minutes. It wasn't interrupted or anything like that. It started from the beginning and went almost until the half point, a little bit before until the half point. So yeah, that was actually kind of weird. And the things they did while interacting with each other were also kind of interesting. I guess the whole point of the first half was to show us that, well, that in reality, Akari does actually like Jirou. There is no hiding it anymore. I mean, we have already known that since previous episodes, but this episode again makes it very clear that yeah, she does like Jirou. There is no denying that reality, because the amount of things she did while interacting with Jirou in this episode clearly shows that. And I think that is what the episode is trying to give us, trying to show us that yeah, there is no going back for Akari. I don't know if maybe in the future episodes she sees again Minami, if she will still feel the same way like Jirou, for example, does when he's with Shiori. But even if she does, I don't think it's going to be that strong as it has been in the past episodes, because this episode, like I said, shows that, well, she's even more comfortable now being with Jirou than she has ever been. And I guess the whole theme or topic of the episode is that of Shiori being reminiscent of the kiss, being reminded of the kiss every single time, because whatever she does, she's only thinking about the kiss, and the kiss, which is very different from Jirou, because Jirou in this episode wasn't even thinking about that, and in the last episode too, he wasn't even thinking about the kiss. We can see a total different perspective on the kiss, because on one side you have Shiori in this episode clearly demonstrated that she's always thinking about the kiss and she doesn't know how to act when she's with Jirou, and on the other hand, Jirou is only reminded of the kiss when he is with Shiori, or when in this episode we see he's clearly reminded of that, because if that is not the case, he will not remember that kiss, or accidental kiss I should say. But yeah, I mean, this episode clearly shows us that Shiori is clearly in love with Jirou. So I guess you can say this episode shows us both girls, Akari and Shiori, both of their struggle in, well, basically liking Jirou, if you can call it like that. I mean, Akari is not so much struggling in accepting that she likes Jirou, because I think at this point we already know, and she already knows that she likes Jirou. But I guess I would say is how each of them handle liking Jirou. Akari handles it one way and Shiori handles it another way. It is very different, because of course the way Shiori handles it is very different than how Akari does, because, well, Akari of course is in a couple relationship with Jirou, so she can do more things than Shiori can do. But of course Shiori has the advantage that she's a childhood friend, that sometimes that is not so much of an advantage but a disadvantage depending on how the childhood friend handles it. In this case Shiori, which I don't think she's handling it very well until this point. Maybe in a couple of upcoming episodes that can change, but I doubt it, to be honest. But yeah, they handle it very different for obvious reasons. And interestingly enough, we also see a lot more of Minami in this episode, because this is definitely the episode that we have seen Minami have the most screen time, well, until this point, until this episode. He has a lot of dialogue. We learn a little bit more about his past, about him, because I have said that Minami is not really that interesting. I mean, he seems like a nice guy, and he is actually a nice guy, but I said in past episodes that he's not really that much of an interesting character. And I mean, at least this episode gave us a little bit more about him. He said a couple of lines in the middle of the episode when he was talking about Shiori that were very interesting, to say the least, because he said that Shiori should basically take the step somehow into, well, being a little bit closer to Jirou. I mean, of course I'm summarizing what he said. He didn't exactly say that, but I guess that is what the whole conversation was was about Shiori trying to be a little bit less scared and a little bit more upfront, a little bit more direct with what she wants, because otherwise she's going to regret it, implying that somehow Minami has regretted things in the past when dealing with relationships and with dealing with people that he likes. I wonder who is that person that he said he liked, and that it was too late to regret things or to be thinking about those things, because I don't know if he's talking about Akari or Shiori. I doubt it, but I mean, who knows. But yeah, that little talk between Shiori and Minami was actually pretty interesting. We learned a little bit more about his job and about his brother, that apparently they have a feud or something like that. So I mean, yeah, this episode gave us a lot more about Minami, which is always appreciated, because like I said in the past, he hasn't had that many screen time until now. We also see a little bit more about the inner struggles of Shiori's friend Mei. I guess I would say that in the past episode I was almost getting to the conclusion that Mei liked somehow Shiori. I wasn't sure about it, but there were hints here and there in the last couple of episodes that may have hinted to that. So yeah, I was almost getting to the theory that she may like Shiori, but this episode basically confirms it. I mean, it wasn't exactly said out loud, but these scenes that she was the protagonist in this episode clearly hinted at that. When she was in the, I think, cafe or something like that, talking with Shiori, she clearly was sad. Anytime Shiori mentioned Jirou, I guess there's going to be, I guess I could say a fight or somehow of a struggle, a discussion, maybe in the upcoming episodes between Shiori and Mei, because maybe Mei will want something more that Shiori doesn't want to have. So I could see that happening in the future. But yeah, there's definitely some feelings from Mei towards Shiori. There's no denying that. Of course, Shiori is not aware of that, because Shiori just sees her as a good friend, as a good person. So let's see what I say happens in the future. And the episode basically ends with the interaction between Jirou and Shiori. And well, Shiori basically took the advice from Mei and from Minami, because she basically said that she enjoyed the accidental kiss she had with Jirou, and she even says, although it was accidental, I still benefited from that. I still learned from that, and I was the one that asked you, so you don't have to be sorry about anything. I'm actually happy for that. Basically implying that she doesn't mind. She was trying to get around the way into saying that she doesn't mind that, and that she actually enjoyed it. She didn't say it directly, but that is basically what she said, just like I said already, in an indirect way. And of course, Jirou also understood that. I mean, almost understood that. He did learn that Shiori didn't actually mind and was actually happy, and that she actually benefited from that accidental kiss. He did learn that much, but at the same time, he's still wondering why, if Shiori likes being kissed by him, if Shiori likes learning how to kiss from him, then why does she doesn't like him? He still thinks that Shiori somehow still sees him as a friend. And I guess for everybody that is shipping Akari and Jirou, that is a good thing, because I guess everybody that is shipping them too doesn't want Jirou to learn that, well, that Shiori actually likes him. But at the same time, let me say that it is not going to be long before Jirou actually learns that Shiori does actually like him. I guess I could say he already has some hints that may imply or not that Shiori actually likes him. He may already be thinking of those things. So yeah, if you're wanting for Jirou to never find out that Shiori does like him, well, I guess that is not going to happen, because I predict that in the upcoming episode that is actually going to happen. I don't think the anime, the 12 episodes are going to end with a Jirou learning that Shiori likes him. But I guess the better question to ask is, how will Jirou act when he learns about this, when he learns about that Shiori actually likes him? Because we can see that Jirou actually likes more Shiori than, for example, Akari likes Minami. I said that in the past episode, and this episode basically confirms it again, that yeah, Jirou does actually like more Shiori than Akari likes Minami. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that Jirou likes more Shiori than he does Akari, because at this point, I don't think that is the case. And this episode again confirms it, because yeah, although he does seem really, flustered, really happy in a way being with Shiori, really shy, clearly demonstrating us that yeah, he actually does still like Shiori. Like I said, at the same time, it is not the same as when he's with Akari, because when he's with Akari, he's even more shy, even more flustered. You can see clearly that there's more than just being shy and flustered. You can clearly see that there is an atmosphere of love, or whatever you want to call it, when Jirou is with Akari compared to when Jirou is with Shiori. Of course, that all could be because Jirou doesn't actually think that Shiori likes him. That could change when Jirou finds out that Shiori does actually like him. But I doubt it, because I mean, at this point, like I said already, I think Jirou likes more Akari than he does Shiori. And even when he does learn that Shiori actually likes him, yeah, he may doubt, he may be struggling, he may be sleepless, he may be wondering what is the correct choice to do. But of course, at the end of the day, we all know that he's going to choose Akari. This episode clearly demonstrated us that yeah, Jirou actually does still like Shiori. But it's a tale of both ends, because the episode gave us that, but at the same time it's giving us real strong hints that one person, in this case Shiori, is clearly more in love with Jirou than Jirou is with her. Because like I said, their interactions, their way of acting, the way they get flustered, the way they get shy, they both sort of get those things, but one is more intense in those feelings, in those reactions, than the other person is, as opposed to, I guess I would say, in the first episode, when they both had that same reaction, that same intensity in their feelings. So yeah, it's a tale of both ends. So yeah, I wonder how Jirou will handle things in the upcoming episodes, because I think this has been the most interaction between Shiori and Jirou until this point. So I wonder how he will handle things in the upcoming episodes. Maybe he will be struggling more in his mind into what to do between Shiori and Akari. Maybe this little interaction at the end will be the tipping point into him finally will accepting that he actually likes more Akari than he does Shiori. I mean, he already sort of knows, but he still has to fully accept it. So yeah, maybe this mini interaction at the end is more important than we think it is. And because of that ending, it was a really great episode. Although so many things happen in this episode between Minami, the beginning, the ending. At the end of the day, when you wrap everything up, it makes sense why those things happen. It may seem that it was out of place, that it was whack, and I mean, in some sense it was, but at the same time it wasn't, because it all tied together to make a great episode, to make sense of the episode. So let's hope that the next episodes continue in the same strength. And yeah, that is everything that I wanted to say about this episode. I hope you enjoyed my review, and I guess I'll see you all in the next episode review.